So hi everyone again. Thanks again for coming out in the cold. So week 2. So I'd like to talk about attachment to our self-image and attachment to outcomes. But just a little recap of last week. Oh, I did read, I got a couple of feedback to have a longer meditation, so I've done that. And I was obsessing about the content and I sort of neglected the meditation last week, so I've got a bit longer meditation this week. Okay, so a recap of last week. So attachment it's a state of mind. Okay, it wants and grasps onto things. It's a deluded mind because it doesn't see the reality of a situation. It overemphasises or exaggerates positive qualities of an object or person that we want, and it minimises the negative qualities. And that's not painting a realistic picture at all. But we believe the picture we're painting of the object or person is real. We basically believe what we've just made up. Some people just call it a fairy tale in some of the books I've read. That's ignorance, that's our deluded mind judging this false appearance to be fact. Having attachments makes us unhappy. Geshe Doga sums this up nicely. A certain object may appear very desirable, but through attachment to it we become miserable. If we are physically separated from this object, the mind often clings to it more tightly. The mind still holds on to it, and that is why we suffer. So if you have attachment to an object, you're going to suffer. Not having the object makes you suffer. But having the object can also make you suffer. A former client of mine at Telstra was driving her husband's beloved car and she had a car accident. She rang him up and the first thing her husband said was, "How's the car?" Or is the car okay? I mean, he didn't ask if she was okay, just concerned about his car. Now, this happened a long time ago, but I remember it because I remember being shocked by it, and I remember it to this day. So, 1, he's over-exaggerating the positive qualities of his car. 2, he thinks the car makes him happy, but the car is 3, the car is impermanent. And 4, when it's damaged, he is upset and even angry. So his behaviour from having that attachment is far from exemplary. So it's okay having a car and enjoying a car, but this guy needs to understand that he can't rely on the car to bring him a lasting, deep happiness. So understanding intellectually the things that we're attached to will change and eventually disappear helps us to realise that it's pointless to be attached to them. So I remember this old American sitcom, Golden Girls, with 3 older women living together, and a comment about Elizabeth Taylor. She was an actress a long time ago who was stunningly beautiful, violet eyes, black hair, alabaster skin. And one of those Golden Girls said, "When we were young, we always wanted to look like Elizabeth Taylor, and now we do." So if you're attached to your looks, it's okay being good looking, it's great, it opens doors for you, but if you're relying on that to make you happy, that's not going to work. All right, meditation. Okay. Oh, how did you go with meditation last week? Did anybody meditate every day? Have a go at that? And any comments or feelings or how you feel after the week or difficulties? Sorry? Great, me too, I did it too, and because I made the commitment, I actually did it. So did you have your hand up? No. It's like an auction. It's yours. No. Well, okay. I mean, I had obstacles. Suddenly things did need cleaning one day. I sort of wrote down a few things and one morning I just couldn't concentrate at all, but I think it was because it wasn't first thing and I already had too many things running around in my head. But by the end of the week, I noticed I was a bit calmer too. Great. And what, sorry? 2 whippets. hopefully they'll sit next to you.
Well, they settled after about the third morning, but before that it was, what's she doing?
Well, that's great. I had cats a long time ago, and eventually I think it's the energy. I mean, there is some sort of energy there, I think, and because you calm down, and I think they can tap into it. Hopefully they'll meditate with you. Okay, actually, I read this quote by the Dalai Lama. He says, if your mind is scattered, it is powerless. So you want to focus your mind, you want a powerful mind. So meditation helps your mind to be more focused and less scattered. So Geshe Doga says the purpose of meditation is to transform our energy or thought patterns into something wholesome and positive. Gee, I've got these couple of books by Geshe Doga. They're pretty old now, but we do have more current teachings, but it's the same sort of things. I mean, Buddhism hasn't changed for the last 2,500 years. So, but we do have some current books in the bookshop of Geshe Doga as well. So that's where I got some of these quotes from. So through meditation, he says, we can aim to develop a good heart, kindness, and positive thoughts. The point of meditation is to prevent keeping in the mind any object that encourages negative thought. Meditation is about transforming the mind into a positive state. And Geshe Doga also makes a link between meditation and happiness. He says the cause of happiness or unhappiness is not always concrete. It can be a mere thought. The best means to eliminate disturbing thoughts lies in the practice of meditation. Through meditating, we can become familiar with positive states of mind and free it from the influence of negative thoughts. So in our personality, there are both positive and negative sides. No matter how bad we may be or think we are, there is always a good quality to be found. It is logical to meditate with the intention of developing further those positive qualities that we already have. All right, so 2 meditations tonight. The first one, which we'll do in a sec, is a body scan meditation where we move through the body and notice any sensations. It's sort of loosely based on a Vipassana meditation. This helps with mindfulness, focusing on the present and awareness of the connection between mind and body. I did a 10-day Vipassana once in India, and for 3 days we just noticed the sensations just here, between the nose and the upper lip. 3 days. And then finally we moved on to the rest of the body. So it was a test in patience as well for me. Second meditation is an analytical meditation where we're going to dissect our attachment to reputation and what people think of us, because that's what we're looking at today, attachment to our self-image and attachment to outcomes, if we get time for the outcomes. Okay, so motivation for doing this meditation: to increase mindfulness, become more focused and calm. And the end game is so we can help others as well as ourselves. Okay, so we'll start with a little breathing meditation before we get on scanning, just like we did last week, just to get settled. So take a moment to stop thinking about everything you were doing today and just settle into this moment. So find a comfy posse to sit in, either on the floor, on a chair, with a straight back, and like last week, as if the vertebrae were a pile of coins. Hands resting in your lap, right over left, with the thumb tips gently touching. So you can close or half close your eyes and bring your attention to the feeling of your breath, coming into and leaving your body. Choose a point to focus on, either the nostrils, the abdomen, the lungs, and just stick to that. Breathe gently and quietly in and out. You can count up to 3 or up to 7 or up to 10, whatever you feel like, and then just keep repeating that. We'll do this briefly. We'll do this now. If your mind wanders, start counting again. If your thoughts are wandering around, getting distracted, just bring your mind back onto the breath. Okay, keep your eyes closed or half closed. We'll begin the body scan meditation. Readjust your posture if you need to. So feel your body sitting in this room. Feel the points of contact between your body and the chair or the floor. Now gently bring your attention to your feet. If you find it hard to feel your feet, you can gently wiggle your toes. Notice any sensation that you feel in your toes and your feet. Some sensations are obvious, such as the contact between your feet and the floor, or even your socks and clothing touching your skin. Other sensations are more subtle, like tingling or itching sensations, or sensations of warmth, or even air brushing against your skin. So from your feet, move your awareness up to your lower legs, the calves and the shins. And notice any sensations you may feel there. If you can't notice any sensation, just keep your mind the feeling of the lower legs. Move your awareness to your knees. Again, notice any sensations you may feel. Move up to your thighs. Become aware of both your legs and the sensations arising there from moment to moment. Now bring your attention to your hips. Your buttocks, your lower back, if you find your mind wandering, gently bring your attention back to scanning the body. Bring your attention now to your belly. Feel the air move in and out of your belly and chest. Notice any sensations in your shoulders. If you're holding any tension in your shoulders, let it go although this isn't a relaxation exercise, you can still use it to become aware of and release any unnecessary tension. Move on to your upper arms. Your forearms. Your hands and fingers. Notice the sensations now in your neck. And we'll move on to the face. First, we'll focus on the jaw. Your tongue. Cheeks. Ears. The area between your nose and upper lip, the moustache area. Your nose. Eyes. Your scalp. Now expand your attention so that it includes your whole body. Become aware of the room that you're in. Feel where your body makes contact with the chair or the floor. Feel your breath move in and out of your body. Become aware of the sounds around you. Gently wiggle your fingers and toes. Give yourself a stretch if you wish. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Any questions or observations or comments about this meditation? Did anyone feel any sensation, like an itchy nose or something, or itchy scalp? Yeah, what did you feel? Yeah, oh, it's interesting, yeah. Some people, their forearms are a bit tingly. And I remember when I did this in India, my scalp felt like it was about to, I want to scratch it all off. But you sort of get used to it after a while. The more you do it, the more you become in tune with your body, and the more you can feel it. So it's an interesting connection between mind and body, and I think I can feel like everyone's energy is sort of a bit more settled too. Okay, so now let's look at attachment to our image and the things that support it. So we're building an image of ourselves all the time, but basically as soon as we break free from what our parents have mandated for us, I was always dressed in frilly dresses and God knows what else. Mum was a dressmaker, so I was like her little practice doll. So as soon as I could, I sort of broke out of that. So yeah, clothes are the first example that comes to mind. We start choosing our own clothes, and especially as teenagers, most of us were acutely aware of what to wear and what not to wear. We become attached to things that we see as promoting our self-image or protecting our self-image. We hold on to material possessions, from clothes to cars, as sources of identity or status, and we can all think of examples of that, like the real estate agent with the flashy car and the expensive suit to project an image of success. We build a self-image on the things we surround ourselves with. So we have an attachment towards the things we think will enhance and protect our image. The type of partner we have, the type of job we have, the kind of friends we're seen with, the clothes we wear, the cars we have, or plural, singular, we have. My brother has about 3. So examples I could think of are the rock chick who says she doesn't care about fashion but has a carefully curated wardrobe, makeup and hair so she can be identified as a cool rock chick. Or the woman who is firmly on the corporate ladder and wants her clothes, jewellery, car, apartment and successful partner to project her success. So the mental energy needed to think about and to get the things you want to support the version of you that you want the world to see takes a lot of effort and time. But tying our happiness to a specific job or relationship means we're at the mercy of circumstances beyond our control. It comes back to everything being impermanent. There's a great quote from Eckhart Tolle, that's the guy who spent 2 years sitting on park benches around London after he had a realisation about the self or the non-existence of self. He says in his mind the self collapsed. So yeah. Anyway, I like his quote. How do you let go of attachment to things? He says, don't even try. Attachment to things drops away by itself when you no longer seek to find yourself in them. Okay, so we've built up an image of ourselves, but how robust is it if we rely on external things and people to prop it up? For example, what happens when someone criticises us? Lama Yeshe used to talk about the up and down mind of attachment, how we have a yo-yo mind. Somebody says you're wonderful and you feel up. Then somebody says you made a mistake, then you feel down. Sometimes our self-esteem is dependent on what people think of us. We're attached to praise and a good reputation. And that, as Lama Yeshe says, leaves us oblivious to the fact that it's our mind, that it's the source of our actual happiness and misery. So Buddhism refers to praise and reputation as worldly concerns, and these, of course, affect our happiness. I'll summarise a couple of them just to put what I've said in context. So a worldly concern is feeling happy when people praise us and approve of us and tell us how wonderful we are. I already feel good, just thinking about it. Conversely, feeling upset and unhappy when they criticise us or disapprove of us, even if they are telling the truth. I know I'm like that. There's some people I don't really care what they say about me, but there's some people that I do, and it really affects me, and I hate the fact it affects me. So it's good to think about it. Another is feeling happy when we have a good reputation and a good image, and conversely, being upset when we have a bad reputation. It's fine to have a good reputation. If you're working in the workplace, you want to be known for your good programming or your good teaching or your good marketing skills, or your expert knowledge, or to be the best athlete on the field. But again, we don't want to rely on that to be happy, because things change. There's an Australian nun, Robina Corton. She's an editor, and the thing I remember most about her, she's a karate black belt. She travels around the world. She's quite amazing, including prisons, giving teachings. It's worth checking out her reels on Instagram. She's got a lot of little mini teachings, and she's very clear, direct. And she says, at the most fundamental level, attachment is that feeling of neediness deep inside us. That belief that somehow I am not enough. I don't have enough, and no matter what I do or what I get, it's never enough. And she further asks, why do we hunger to be liked? Why are we so vulnerable to other people's opinions about us? We feel devastated when there's a negative view about us. That's what can destroy us. Then we believe we are a total failure. We buy into all these views of the outside world. Why can't we learn to define who we are by ourselves? And Lama Yeshe has some advice on that. And there's an excellent online resource, the Lama Yeshe Wisdom Archive, lamayeshe.com. Loads of things, just Google or search attachment or whatever. It's profound, really. It's such a wonderful resource. So he says, when somebody praises you, you feel happy and puff up with pride. And when somebody criticises you, you feel unhappy and depressed. He asks, why do you feel elated when praised and dejected when criticised? And he answers, pause for dramatic effect. Okay. It's because you don't accept the way things truly are. You're controlled by your hallucinating mind, which is totally divorced from reality. He goes on to say, whether you're good or bad isn't determined by what other people think, but by your own actions, and these are your own responsibility. If all your actions are positive, even if I say to you, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, all day, it won't affect your qualities. Therefore, you should understand what really makes an action positive or negative. It's not defined by what other people think. He goes on, if you go up and down because of what other people say, you're not seeing reality. You should have strong confidence in your own actions and take full responsibility for them. Then, even if all sentient beings turn against you, you'll still be laughing. When you know what you are, you never get upset. Okay. Oh, Actually, I will say this one. Yeah. Check within yourself to see if you value material things and the opinions of people more than your own internal potential. And according to the Dalai Lama, to actively cultivate your happiness mindset, develop your sense of self-worth regardless of external circumstances. You don't need possessions, beauty or titles, and in brackets I've got like CEO, president, director, whatever, to validate you. It's important to not attach your self-worth to such things, he adds, as they can diminish over time, meaning your self-worth does the same. So it's great if you've made it to CEO or something like that, or, I don't know, head manager or whatever it is you want to be, or producer or director. Wonderful achievement, and you can rejoice about that. But again, you don't want to attach your self-worth to things like that. I think that happened in the 50s. A lot of women attached their self-worth to being a good housewife, wife and mother, and then they got divorced, and what was their self-worth? Or the husband attached his self-worth to being the provider and having a job, and then if he loses his job, then a lot of questions and a lot of self-doubts, a lot of misery. So rejoice when you have these things, but don't attach your self-worth to them, because you're asking for a lot of trouble if things go belly up, which they do. It's called life, unfortunately. So we've got to learn to navigate that. So the Dalai Lama recommends countering negative emotions with positive ones. He says, for instance, when you find yourself consumed with self-reproach over a bad test grade, tell yourself that your worth isn't dependent on grades and practice kindness towards yourself. Sure, still do something about the bad grade, maybe study more, but don't equate it with your worth. My brother was hopeless at school, but he didn't attach his worth onto school. He just left and he did something else. So there's more to life than a test exam, unless you want to be a doctor, I suppose, but then maybe you can rethink things, but that's another conversation. Okay, now I've got another meditation here that's going to dig a little bit deeper into this attachment to reputation and criticism and people thinking about things about you, negative things about you. And this meditation is based on a YouTube video I found of the American nun Sangye Kadro, and that she's also known as Kathleen MacDonald. I had that orange meditation book last week that I showed you. It's quite a famous book, the How to Meditate book. And so I found a great little YouTube video of her giving a meditation on an analytical meditation where you pick apart a bit further on attachment to reputation. Interestingly, I saw an old photo of her today as well, before she became a nun. A cute blonde hair, and now it's all shaved off. So I was thinking in my head, if you think of a beautiful woman, you usually think of long, bouncy hair, and most people are attached to their hair. I know I am. I told my hairdresser I didn't want it cut short for winter. He usually chops it all off. And monastics shaving their heads is a first step on the journey of complete detachment. It's symbolic of cutting off attachment. I know people who have got girls that like to have their hair long, boys that like to see girls with their hair long, so sometimes it's difficult to chop it all off. But she did. Okay. So the motivation, before we get into our posture, would be to be less caught up in this concern about our reputation and to reduce the attachment to our reputation. So that's what we're going to try to do by delving deeper into it. So again, sitting comfortably, sit with a straight back, hands together, closing or half closing the eyes. So take one long, slow, deep breath just to get settled. Okay. So let your mind, your awareness, settle in your body. let go of any thoughts that you might have about the past, the future, or anything else. Just let your mind be right here, right now, in the present. A good way of doing that is to be aware of your breathing. Now, our attachment to a good reputation. It is said that this is one of the most difficult to overcome. It's one of the stickiest in our minds. Basically, we're in denial that we are attached to reputation, and we're in denial that we don't care whether people praise us or not. But it's important that if we do notice we are concerned about our reputation and what other people think about us, then it doesn't help to feel bad about that, because for one thing, you're not alone. So let's start by bringing to mind an experience we've had where we were very concerned about what someone thought about us and what they perhaps may have said about us. Bring to mind an actual first-hand experience of that in your own life. Where, in the eyes of others, you wanted to make sure that you had a good image, a good reputation, and avoid a bad one, or people thinking badly of you, putting you down, and so on. So just find an example of that. When you look back on that experience, recall what was going through your mind, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. Recall how those thoughts and concerns affected your behaviour. How did you act on the basis of those thoughts? Did your behaviour affect other people around you? Looking back on that, how does all that look like from here, now, sitting here at this present moment? Looking back on that, do you feel you behaved wisely or skillfully? Did you get angry? Did you cry? Did you swear? Do you feel some sense of embarrassment or recognition that your behaviour wasn't that great to think or act like that? But be careful not to beat yourself up or criticise yourself for the way you thought and the way you acted. That doesn't do any good. What is helpful is to have a healthy sense of regret about any unskillful things we said or did. Think strongly that you want to be less caught up in this concern about your reputation. One of the best ways is to reduce this attachment to reputation is to contemplate impermanence, which means that things are subject to change. So think that things are changing. Think that there's no way we can stop things from changing. That's just their nature. Our bodies, our minds, other people's bodies and minds, our possessions, All the things around us are changing every minute, every second, every nanosecond. As they change, they gradually degenerate. And in most cases, they cease to exist and altogether disappear. Think about what exactly is the source of our concern about what others think of us. Why do we want other people to notice things about us and admire us or be attracted to us? Why do we want that? It could be we want them to notice and praise our physical features. We might take pride in having an attractive body, nice skin, nice eyes, our athleticism, or maybe our voice. Maybe it's our intelligence we want people to notice. Try to pinpoint what it is that you would like other people to notice and admire in you. Now, think that these qualities and abilities that we are attached to, that we like other people to notice and praise us for, will almost probably deteriorate. Maybe they've already started. As we get older, the smooth skin we had when we were younger is now more wrinkled and not as attractive as it once was. As the days and years go on, our bodies are not as agile or as athletic or as quick as they used to be. And if we take pride in the dulcet tones of our voice, that too could change as we get older, becoming more hoarse, scratchy, and not that pleasant to listen to. If we like people to notice and praise our intelligence, one day our mental abilities might decline. Instead of being clear and sharp, our mind could be becoming more unclear, confused, and forgetful. Thinking about these changes that will take place as we age isn't to make us anxious or depressed, but to help us reassess our priorities. We consider it important to look a certain way, to appear a certain way in the eyes of others so that they will like us, admire us, and think well of us. Think about how will we cope with the lack of praise when our physical and mental qualities decline or even disappear. Wouldn't it be better to feel good about ourselves and have a strong sense of self-confidence, regardless of what we look like or how we appear to others or what they say about us? Ask yourself just how important are other people's thoughts, ideas, and concepts about us. If someone thinks, remember, it's a thought, if someone thinks that we're fantastic and we're perfect, does that make us fantastic and perfect? Conversely, if they think we're rubbish, does that make us so? Do they really know us? They're not with us 24 hours a day. They don't know everything about us. They only know a little bit about us, certainly not an accurate picture. Moreover, their opinion is coloured by their own likes and dislikes, upbringing, and their own issues. It's actually a hindrance if we nail our happiness onto the whims of other people's thoughts about us. Okay, gently open your eyes and come back into the room. So any questions or comments? Just something to think about. Okay, what are we? Oh, you've still got 10 minutes, 11, 12 minutes. I'd like to talk a little bit tonight about being attached to outcomes and about always being right. I think we all know people who are attached to being right. They never say sorry or anything like that. So Lama Yeshe says your attachment to always being right causes you angrily to reject what others say. Attachment is a deluded state of mind, as we've said, and a deluded mind cannot accept criticism. You know the type of people, those who can't apologise and won't ever admit to being wrong. We want things to have or to go a certain way, mostly for ourselves. From this self-cherishing attitude, our attachment and aversion arises. When you're attached to a specific outcome, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. If we invest all our energy and emotions into one specific outcome, we open the possibility that we fail. The old thing about putting all your eggs in one basket. Failure is okay, actually. In fact, I used to interview tech entrepreneurs, and the one thing, particularly among the Americans, is that you can't call yourself a success until you've failed 2-3 times. They accept that more than Australians. We just call people losers when they fail. But that's completely wrong. But when we become too attached to an outcome, we don't see failure as okay. We become rigid and inflexible and aren't open to seeing other opportunities or being open to advice. One door closes, another opens. That is so true. You have to be old to sort of realise that. The failure isn't making you unhappy. It's the attachment to not failing that's making you unhappy. The Dalai Lama says, when you're self-centred and your view is narrowed to yourself, even a small problem seems unbearable. If we're caught up in ourselves, then we have to make a shift to paying attention to others. Transfer the energy we put into ourselves to others. from me, to what can I do for others. If you see an opportunity, you can do that. You know, someone might be a little upset, you can offer them a cup of tea or something. Just little things. It doesn't have to be grand gestures. And if you do it all the time, then we were talking before about habits for meditating, then you get habits for doing nice things, random acts of kindness. And then that gets you out of yourself. I used to battle with depression, and one way to get out of that was prostrations, funnily enough, but also getting out of yourself and out onto other people, so you don't spiral down. So you just got to lift yourself up and out, whether that's volunteer work or helping people or going up to the monastery and chipping concrete off bricks. Okay, so Bob Sharples, who used to run healing classes here, recommended saying, when you walk down the street, may you be happy, may you be happy, may you be happy, when you see people. One woman who did this said she received strange looks from people. She said it, but she said it out loud to everybody. Bob meant to say it to yourself. But, you know, some people might have liked it. So doing this is a simple way of flipping the thinking from yourself to others. And doing it often creates that positive habit. Now, next week we'll look into projections and dig a bit deeper into how the mind of attachment misinterprets things. We've already sort of done that, but we're really going to get to the nub of it. Lama Yeshe says, you know through your own experience that your own projection of yourself is a fantasy. Thinking about this some more means that you will no longer trust your own ego and your concepts become less concrete and rigid. Last week I talked about loving a blue Carmen gear car and how driving one could make my image look cool. But it's my non-existent image, the image I think I could have, but it isn't real. So why do I need that car? Why do I need the storyline that I've built around it? I don't have one, by the way, but I still think I'd like one, which is okay. It's just that I shouldn't attach my image to it or my self-worth to having a car. Lama Zopa says everything is projected. We become attached to something that our mind created. So the point here is that there's nothing to be attached to. But we're going to look at that next week. We probably need a year, but we'll have an hour next week to look at that. So it's question time. Now, I do have the pen and paper there for after if you want to write questions or comments or feedback. But there was a one from last week, and this was what was written down. I have been thinking about my obsession with waste. I feel guilty about food and papers, etc. So I think that's the attachment to the idea of sustainability. And sustainable practices are important. It's good to do what you can to tread light on this earth, but becoming attached to that idea will lead to disappointment and upset when inevitably you don't think you're doing enough. It's impossible to do enough. It's never ending. You could be cleaning up Australia every day and it wouldn't be clean. So you could get upset when you don't think you're doing enough, or that other people aren't doing their bit, or being upset that we can't control things such as plastic wrapping when we buy food. You can only control what you do, what actions you can realistically take. It's great to be mindful of what you personally can do with waste. It's also great to join an environmental group, Clean Up Australia or Planting Trees, and many local councils have sustainability programs. The reincarnation of Lama Yeshe Tenzin Osel, that's him as a toddler, or a bit more than a toddler, but he's not in robes anymore. He's founded a group called Global Tree Initiative, plantgrowsave.org, which has ideas on projects. So basically it's about planting trees all over the world. So you can plant trees yourself, you can join a group, or you can start a group. And there is an Australian branch in Bendigo, and they can help you, and I think Melbourne as well. But yeah, the point is you can get out and you can actually do something rather than feeling, what was her words, or his words, rather than feeling guilty, you can do something about it. I'll just do a little promotion for Tara Institute Instagram. They have sustainability posts on Fridays that explore the connection between Buddhism and the environment. Interestingly, last Friday, the Tara Institute Instagram post quoted Vietnamese Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh, who basically says, unless people realise themselves to be an integral part of the environment, nothing will work. It's that whole idea of interdependence. Okay. The Dalai Lama is an environmental activist. And another woman, Joanna Macy, is also worth looking up as she addresses climate distress and eco-guilt. She's written a few books. One she's co-authored is Active Hope, How to Face the Mess We're In Without Going Crazy. So whoever wrote that down, I hope that answers your question or your concern. Couple of minutes, any questions at all? Yes?
Absolutely. It doesn't have to be like grasping wealth or beauty or something. It could be grasping simple things but want to be seen by others to be a worthy person.
Absolutely, and that's what we were talking about before about attachment to self-image.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. And I think that's a bit more subtle than attachment to an object or a person. I think it's a mix of both. And you've hit it on the head. It's the motivation behind it. People do wonderful things, make offerings, make donations, but sometimes they want other people to see them do that. Yeah, you can be kind to others publicly and you want people to see you doing that, or you can do it quietly, like the anonymous donor or something like that. Do you want the Stupa in Bendigo to know you've donated $500? Or do you want to just anonymously just slip it under the door? But yeah, no, absolutely, you're right. But you know what? If that's the motivation to do good works, I don't think it's. I mean, it's a good thing overall, but it's probably not a good thing for the person who. Again, it's mixed. It'll be good because they'll get good karma from it, and they've done something good. But then, if they attach their self-worth to that image, that's a problem for them. Yeah. But you're right. Yes?
To lose the attachments is one of the main things to do with meditation.
I think so, meditation, definitely. Sorry?
That's the main thing.
I think also to think about, I think twofold. You think about it, about the things you can do and realise that if you're attached to things, that they're impermanent. So the point is that they're not going to bring you lasting happiness. You don't want to look externally for happiness because everything changes on a whim and it doesn't last. So the key is to look internally for that strength in yourself, like we were talking before about you don't want to nail your happiness on the whims of other people's opinions about you, because they've probably got deluded minds as well. So it's about impermanence. Think about impermanence, I think, as well. But certainly meditating on things like that. Yeah. Fabulous.
I sold my first car and I bought a big house. And every day that I look at it, it's always continuously changing. I'm not going to say it's going to save the world or anything.
No.
But
Well,
you know,
that's fantastic because bees are so important, and I know that all over Paris there's beekeepers everywhere on top roofs of the Palais Opera, of the gardens, and so bees are incredibly important, and I think that's a real environmental issue at the moment. If you can do it. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you for doing that, and thanks for saying that. I think we're after 9. I was going to say quickly, just with the homework, with the meditation, keep on the meditation and see how you go. Make a commitment that you'll do it. Maybe tell someone that you do it. When you voice it, it sort of makes it real and makes me want to feel obliged to keep doing it. But once you do it, I think people have found it's made them feel better. So continue the daily meditation. After 20 days or something, hopefully it'll be a habit. Thanks, and hopefully see you next week. Bye-bye. For questions and feedback, thank you.